Oh, don't worry, society expects plenty from women. We're expected to age gracefully but never let ourselves go, work like we have no children, and parent like we have no job. They'll call the stay at home mother unfulfilled, but the working mother selfish, all while childless women are considered incomplete. Go chase that career but never at the expense of a family. Think like a man if you want to be successful, but don't act like one if you want to be liked. We're supposed to mother our husbands but never treat them like children, and put out on demand but demand respect. Married and miserable is better than single and happy. Don't stay with an abusive man, but never break up your family. Don't marry a bum for love, but don't stay with a successful man for security. Don't be dependent on a man for money, but don't emasculate them by earning more. They'll tell us to embrace our sexuality, but have some self-respect, and to care about our appearance, but stop looking for attention. Just say no, but let him down easy. Be aware of your surroundings, but stop being so dramatic. Practice self-love, but don't love yourself too much. Dream big, but stay small, and would you like me to keep going?
This one is just plain effing stupid. Hey lady, have you ever heard about balance? I'll give you one of many that women expect from men, and that is being a highly successful man, but still be at home up under you, fondling your behind. Because of course, hardworking men have all the time in the world to do that. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out why all they can attract are losers.
If you can get on board with feminism when the person who is talking about feminism is someone that you deem attractive, but you can't agree with feminism when someone who's talking about it might not be your type, then you're not a feminist. You're still a bigot.
No, darling, those are called thirsty betas. They know you're full of crap, but for a chance down your pants, they'll pretend not to be.
I'm going to go against my better judgment and very briefly talk about the Will Smith Chris Rock thing. At the end of the day, Chris Rock made a distasteful joke and got his immediate karma. Should Will have gotten up and hit him? Probably not, but the joke shouldn't have been made either, and if it was in a private setting, he probably would have gotten hit, so good on him for doing it, I guess. But also don't hit people. My 2 cents is this is I don't care. There are people genuinely upset that Chris Rock isn't pressing charges, as if they're the ones who got hit on national television. I don't care. It's over. It's done. Distasteful joke. Karma. It's over. That's it. From this day forward, though, let's not make jokes about things that you shouldn't make jokes about, like medical conditions or rape.
How about from this day forward, we should all ignore the sensitives? My brain cries when I hear women using the word karma when it involves simple things. Like, what is their karma going to be for all the screwed up things they've done?
Men do not want slutty women.
You know what I think? I think you just don't like women that have enough experience to judge you. And how do you classify slut? Because personally, I think you just call women that so you feel better about objectifying them.
That's incorrect. It's actually an adjective for sexually promiscuous women, which you do know exist. They just don't want to be called that because it hurts their chances when they're finally ready to settle down. And mind you, with the same quote-unquote good guys they've been ignoring.
I mean, you're always talking about women being loose, but maybe they're not too big and you're just too small. And if I've learned anything, it's that the word slut very rarely has something to do with a person's previous sexual history and everything to do with discrediting a woman's character. But you use it to make independence and choice seem like undesirable traits, and only because women are more difficult to manipulate when they're not relying solely on you for their validation. And if men really don't like slutty women, then why did you have to make an entire video telling men why they should stay away from them? Why do you pressure women into saying yes after they've already said no? And why do you teach men how to catch women but shame the women that have allowed themselves to be caught? Because you operate off of double standards and nonsense, but only to cover up the fact that women are something you want to possess and competition is something that you can't handle.
Did she say have enough experience to judge him? Like, how many sausages does it take for a woman to decide what a good session is? And another thing, since we can't define sidewalk creatures, how about you shut up about the gigolo title for men?
Women.
Reading a book called Why Do So Many Incompetent Men Become Leaders and How to Fix It. As you can imagine, it's quite entertaining, and there's this one study it talks about that's absolutely fascinating. A researcher at Skidmore sent out identical resumes for applicants and changed the name. It was either Jennifer or John. John was perceived as slightly more competent than Jennifer and was offered roughly $4,000 more in annual salary on average, despite identical resumes in all other respects. This is what's called an audit study, when you sent out identical resumes or emails or school applications, and you change only one thing that you're testing for discrimination, like the name of someone or the gender or the race. These studies have been used to prove just how much racism and sexism and homophobia, etc., impact our everyday lives, and I'm really obsessed with them, and I'm going to try to do one of my own next year. So if you have ideas of what I should test, put them in the comments.
Is it really about incompetence, or is it about who's more likely to get crap thrown their way when it comes to taking accountability when things go south? The real question is, who will be taken more seriously by employees? Because women tend to be more lenient with obviously manipulative and lazy staff members. Overall, men are seen as more reliable for certain positions. And guys, please take note of the type of positions she's talking about. They will continue to complain about not being able to fill boss positions because they see being a supervisor or an assistant as being subservient. Now look at it this way. Who would she more likely go to get her hair done? It's more likely going to be a female stylist instead of a man, just on the assumption that a female will probably better understand what she wants done. It's the same thing with professions. The passion for each differs.
Men are always so frustrated about being expected to pay for dates, but they're usually the ones that benefit from it. Women can buy our own food these days. We're certainly not just sitting there waiting for a man to be interested enough to feed us. But some of you still demand to pay for dinner in order to make the date transactional. Because you're not paying for the food, you're paying for the sex. And dinner's just something you have to get through in order to get to the end. And you're not bothered by this as long as you get the desired outcome. But you do get mad if you feel you weren't paid back appropriately. And in that case, you start complaining about being used for a meal, but only because you weren't successfully able to use her for sex. Think about it. How many of you have pressured a woman into a sexual act just because you paid for dinner? And you feel entitled to do that because you bought her a meal. So let's be clear. You're not mad about paying for dates. You're mad if you feel you didn't get what you paid for.
Once again, pure nonsense. Who wouldn't be pissed off if they've been screwed on a deal or taken advantage of? Women know firsthand that men don't just spend money on them for nothing. So if they're not up to reciprocity, they can simply opt out. And to act as if dinner is the only thing they get out of men is another shocker. Answer me this. How does it feel when a guy you liked and invested all your time and emotions into suddenly dumps you for a juicier piece of meat? Wouldn't you consider that a waste?
So yeah, I think I would consider myself a feminist. Women aren't any better than men. Okay? Well, you just said you're a feminist. I did, yeah. Do you even know what a feminist is? Do you? Yeah, it's women who want to be handed things and think that they're better than men just because they're women. That's actually not what it is. Oh yeah? Then how do you explain the kill all men movement? Well, that's a joke, so... Or just the girls that they say they hate all men. Yeah, it's like a joke generalization, like some individual man wronged them and then they say they hate all men. Clearly they're not talking about all men because they don't even know all men. Well then what's a feminist? A person who wants women to be treated as equal as men. How are women not as equal as men? They still don't make as much as men. They can't get their tubes tied without their husband's permission. There's people trying to defund Planned Parenthood.